the clash between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev seems inevitable. This is not merely a major fight that the UFC can organize right now. It has the potential to become one of the greatest bouts in the history of the sport. This matchup could rival or even surpass the magnitude of the Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. However, stylistically, this bout promises to be far more intriguing. Ilia Topuria is not just an aggressive striker with devastating knockout power, he also possesses solid wrestling skills. On the other hand, Islam Makhachev is not simply the heir to the traditional Dagestani wrestling style popularized by Khabib. He is also a highly technical and effective striker. I've mentioned this in a previous video, and I will reiterate it here. I truly believe this fight has the potential to be one of the greatest of all time, especially considering the level of excitement it would generate and the high stakes involved. The UFC lightweight world title would be on the line, as well as the status of the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, possibly even the legacy of being one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. If either man can defeat the other and add such a dominant rival to their resume, it would be a monumental achievement in their career. Both fighters are currently on a trajectory toward entering the all-time top 10 greatest fighters list, although Ilia Topuria secured a highly impressive win over Charles Oliveira, and his hype and aura are at an all-time high. He's still considered the underdog in this potential matchup. However, those odds are becoming increasingly narrow, with the likelihood that this fight will happen within the next 1 or 2 years. Let's break down how Ilia Topuria, as the underdog, could potentially defeat Islam Makhachev. Before proceeding, I would like to offer a brief disclaimer. This statement is made with full awareness of the importance of objectivity, integrity, and responsibility in delivering opinions and information. We firmly emphasize that there is no bias toward any party within this analysis. All perspectives presented are based solely on rational analysis, available data, and logical consideration, with no intent to discredit, harm, or undermine any individual, group, or institution. Thank you.
Perfect.
Ilia Topuria's strategy to defeat Islam Makhachev. Ilia's first priority should be to land a clean power shot on Islam Makhachev, as he has successfully done in his last 3 fights and throughout much of his career. However, that is much easier said than done, especially against a well-rounded, highly disciplined fighter like Islam. While Ilia is known for his devastating power, I believe he should avoid recklessly charging at Islam for 2 key reasons. 1. Islam's takedown ability is exceptional, especially when his opponents throw wide hooks. Such hooks expose the hips and make it difficult to maintain balance against grappling attacks. 2. Islam's vulnerability lies in how he reacts to pressure. He tends to retreat and counter with looping hooks that are often mistimed. This was evident in his fight against Alexander Volkanovski, where Islam was repeatedly late on his counters, allowing Volk to close the distance and land clean shots. One of the most damaging punches Islam has absorbed in his career came during the bout with Dustin Poirier, when Poirier landed a heavy left hand after Islam attempted a wide hook in response to repeated jabs. This pattern exposes a significant opening for a powerful close-range striker like Ilia Topuria to exploit. If Ilia can bait Islam into throwing his instinctive hook and respond with a hard, straight punch as he did against Oliveira, there's a real possibility that Islam could get caught with a fight-ending shot. The clinch game and the wrestling threat from Islam. Islam is exceptionally strong in a clinch, especially in tie-ups or 50-50 positions. He often grabs the opponent's neck, drives them to the fence, and transitions to takedowns from there. This was clearly seen in both the Volkanovski and Poirier fights, where he consistently used the clinch to set up dominant grappling sequences. One possible approach for Ilia is to immediately counter with hard strikes in the clinch, before Islam can fully establish control. Alternatively, he could remain composed and look for opportunities to land body hooks, as Poirier did. Ilia has the power to hurt opponents even in close quarters. He once dropped Ryan Hall from bottom position. If he can land accurate short shots to the body, particularly to the liver, it could disrupt Islam's rhythm significantly. However, Ilia must be extremely cautious in the clinch. Islam is highly skilled in grappling transitions, throws, and securing dominant positions, including full mount. We haven't yet seen Ilia's wrestling defense thoroughly tested in the UFC, so this remains a major question going into the fight. Islam's likely grappling strategy. Islam will most likely rely on a grappling-heavy game plan, similar to what he used against Arman Tsarukyan, employing chain wrestling and relentless control from top position. He excels at dragging his opponents to the cage, pinning them down, and sliding his leg between them and the fence to prevent any chance of standing back up. The key to this dominance lies in his seamless transitions from clinch to ground control. For example, in the fight against Dustin Poirier, he used the clinch to close distance, landed knees, transitioned to a double leg takedown, and then locked in a body triangle for total control. Ilia must anticipate and prevent Islam from inserting his leg between Ilia's body and the cage wall. If he fails to do so, he could find himself stuck in an extremely difficult position to escape from. Can Ilia survive on the ground? We have not yet seen Ilia's ground defense pushed to the limit in the UFC. However, if we look at Islam's past performances against Volkanovski, Tsarukyan, and Poirier, all of whom managed to escape dangerous ground positions, then Ilia might also have a similar chance. I believe Ilia's chances increase significantly if this fight actually materializes. The structural and recurring weaknesses in Islam's style can be exploited by a sharp, aggressive fighter like Topuria. Conclusion. This is a true super fight that will pit two of the best martial artists of this era against each other, both elite in striking and wrestling. I'm genuinely excited to see how this matchup unfolds. What do you think? What strategy should Ilia use to defeat Islam Makhachev? Will this fight be fast-paced and explosive, or a tactical war that goes the full 5 rounds? Thank you for watching and supporting. See you in the next episode.